All right. So, yeah, now we're gonna try to do this bass rehab thing. The idea is we're gonna work on just the left hand, and let me make sure you can see it. I like to run a lot of these early paths, getting to know the neck. It's like it's a lot easier to do it if you approach it from like a symmetrical point of view, so you take all the visual challenge out of it. But the way you want to play bass is you really try not to curl your fingers if you want to be able to play for a long time. It's more about just, you know, like one of these yes type. Just, my friend Eric calls it waving bye-bye. But that's pretty much like, it's a good way to say it, honestly. Keep your thumb, this is a big deal, and I'm just as bad about it as anyone else, but keep your thumbprint on the back of the neck somewhere. If you need to make a long, giant thing, it usually falls down here. And if you're up here, usually that ends up coming up to this way, and that's where your range is limited. I can only open my fingers this far with my thumb's like here, but start pulling it down, it opens up. Anyway, so what we're going to work on today is a major pentatonic scale, and we're going to just look at each one of these one at a time. Now, the thing about these guided exercises is pretend, I mean, you really don't even need an instrument to do this. You can just, if you use your mind's eye and you really get into this and you really make yourself believe that this is your finger and it is working and all these things, you know, it's like we can develop it back from a state of like non-usability to maybe waking up some of these nerves as your neurons grow back, you know. And so you set, but for the rest of us who haven't gone through anything and have a dysfunctional arm, you don't really want to force anything. Like, you should barely press on this thing, but that's a big deal, that light squeeze. That's one way you can do it. You can also just let gravity pull it down, you know? Keep your thumb on the neck, of course, but I'm just showing you, like, you don't have to squeeze at all, like people would think. I've done that enough, apparently. Anyway, so this is gonna go, this is actually like the, I think about the song My Girl, you know? That's the idea. We're not really going to do much more than an octave for today, just to get the idea in your head. But yeah, so this is essentially one move here. We're going to practice moving our, even just pressing, using gravity, pressing. You can even use your picking hand to launch the guitar into your hand. So you don't even need, you know, worst case, this, you know, whatever. But yeah, we're just going to use these light pressing, and you think about the way people walk, you know, we're not, if you ran the marathon, you wouldn't do it with cement on your feet, you know, it's like there's this temptation to not let go, but like, it's a matter of when. I like to think about a tire, because it kind of rolls, it gives you all those points to reference if you need it. But yeah, this other one here, let's check this out. Make sure you're doing that, make sure it's just falling in. Okay, so yeah, major pentatonic scale. This is the first note, and that's the second note. And let's just go back and forth between 1 and 2. Let's see if I can't zoom in more. Nope. All right, cool. Use my head for shade here. So we're using the dot system they have built in a lot of these guitars, just so it's visually not a big deal. But for now, dot to dot. And the moment you land is the moment you pluck. If you mute with your right hand before you let go of the note, it's easier to get a clean transition. Don't mind saying it, she's just running around. So, in the moment of impact is the moment of pluck. It's snap, snap. But if you're stopping notes, you want to mute it with your other hand here because there's nothing we can do. That buzz is going to happen. That little fart at the end. Also, keep in mind that happens when you go to the back side of the fret too. Watch this. Pretty nuts, huh? It's not illegal. I would call it a tiger growl if we were playing like some psychedelic something, or, you know. So there's a place for all of it if you're an artiste, you know. But yeah, it's going back and forth like that. If this is all you do, this is a lot. And this is a lot because of the whole idea of how often you're going to be doing something like that. Just don't really squeeze, more like rotate into it. Use the leverage of your elbow to launch it. It's like the worst thing that would happen if you did this at a high rate of force is you either break your thumb or you'd break the neck. You'll feel it. It'll say something. But that's a long way away from barely pressing in the first place. I mean, you shouldn't even squeeze if you're really using the jiu-jitsu leverage type approach about it. But you want to keep all this snappy, slappy fret noise, you want to keep that out the way. So if you can be, you know, really pay attention to the way you attack and get out of there. So you're still just going 3 to 5, 3rd fret to 5th fret, 2nd finger to 4th finger, G to A, G, A. This is where G is, by the way. First dot, if we're in standard tuning. G, A, G, A. So congratulations, that's 1/3 of the exercise, but secretly it's actually halfway. Because the other moves, you're only doing 2 moves. It's that one, and then it's this one. So now we're gonna work on our pointer finger. Right, and don't press. You're gonna be tempted to press. You're gonna be tempted to squeeze. Just use leverage, make it work, be lazy. How often you get to hear that? All right, so this one, instead of dot to dot, you're gonna go, we're doing what's called position playing, so every finger gets its own fret. Dot to dot. All right, that's our first string. We're going to the next string for this one. I guess if you really want to make that more. Okay, I just need to bend over super far. The sun's coming out. 2, 5, 2, 5. 2, 5. So the idea here is, if you can, it's not too far. I've done a lot here to really make this believable for you. I just gotta fix this lighting. Hold up. There it is. Maybe I don't have to do anything anymore. That's great. Okay. Oh, now I gotta stay out of the way. Okay, so let's try that again. We're going 3, 5, 3, 5. And be very careful here. You're going to be tempted. Your thumb might fly up. Keep it low. Keep it at least centered. Something. But make sure leverage is driving the ship here. 3, 5. Is this what it looks like? I think this is what it looks like. Maybe a little bit of this in the way. But I want to be able to, you know, you need to be able to see it more than... So that way you can learn the scale while we actually, the real goal here, remember, is to get our fingers back, right? If you've lost neuropaths, if you've hurt yourself or something, this is what this is really for. But also, by the time we're done here, you'll accidentally learn how to play the bass as we get fingers to wake up and remember what it feels like. Anyway, oh yeah, I blew it. So if we've been doing this a lot, also a good challenge is to kill the gaps between notes. It's really hard because you got to make that moment, that, you know. Bah, 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 bah. Don't be tempted to stop. That's not really how bass likes to feel. If you think about the function of bass, it's more like an audio massage. It's got to keep that woof in there, or else people get confused or scared. That's kind of why the beat drops are such a big deal. But yeah, so you may have noticed you do this on the next string too. So even though this is 1/3 of it, it's really half because that's the only time you do that. The rest of it's this guy. So you could start drawing boxes now between the 2nd and the 5th, and on both strings. Right, so again, we're pretending this is your hand here, So I say pretending. How do I know? You could be a master and really be plugging into this more than I've already said too much for some people. But no, I'm just trying to remind us, you know, don't push. We're trying to reset our technique, reset our bad habits. Oh, we don't have to go to that string today. Just these three. And it really means the only things we're working on today are trying to get this finger to wake up and see what you're really doing here. I'm pressing more like this, right? We don't want to collapse our knuckles. More like make them do the wave so they can oscillate right, you know? This is a lot harder to do than this. And it's ironic because this is what they tell you in drums, piano, guitar. Like, this is how you play forever, apparently. You do what's natural. You don't need any of these strength trainers, anything that makes you really good at that. It's like, nah, backwards. That's how you stop yourself early from continuing. Anyway, so now we're working on this and this, right? So secretly it's like, bring your fingerprints together. And we're just doing that. And you stay as relaxed as possible. You keep the technique actually very simple. Because this is the first step to doing this again, right? It's a process, not a product. You have to respect that. You have to love that. It's you, honestly. Me too. But yeah, that's today. Middle, pinky, middle, pinky, middle, pinky, middle, pinky. And then pointer, pinky, index, pinky. Plectrum annular. No, I'm just kidding. That's the right hand classical guitar nonsense. And who cares? This is getting these back right now. But yeah, that's what you're doing. Honestly, that's what it feels like too. It's like almost like I'm just bringing my thumb to give everybody a high five. What's up, bro? With it. I'll take all of y'all. Anyway, summarize. One more time here. 2, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4. I'm making life hard. Hold on. Here we go. 2, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4. Oh, you may have noticed this swivel thing. This is my favorite part about your neck. Here's the thumb being on the back of the neck. It's like thumb. Doing this is also working on this approach, you know, so that way you don't have to look anymore when you get more advanced into some of these shifting positions. You just remember where your pinky just was. See what I'm saying? It looks crazy from there. The sun's making this crazy. I'm blaming the sun for all my problems. And I guess my solutions too, who cares? It's kind of the secret to one finger playing efficiently, because sometimes I like to mute with this finger too. That really gives you that Joe Dart thing. Or it makes me feel like that anyway, just ultra funky, right? You know, if you widen that stance, it mutes even more, right? Keep in mind the start sitting on the mic. The whole time here, this is your arm today, right now. Can you believe it's moving? You really have to try, and you have to really believe it. Like, that is like the whole thing I'm basing this course on. Golly, sun's rising. They have to be, oh, hold on. We'll do one more here and then I'll talk about what I'm gonna talk about. That's your whole scale, essentially. 2, 4, 1, 4, twice. And you can change the pattern. Oh, just be really careful not to squeeze. Golly. Dadgum, I tell you. Is that pants? All right. So, anyway, the whole point of this is to get it into your mind's eye. Even if you are completely functional and even gifted, you don't know something until you can really talk about it. And the more you can talk about it, the better you know it. But like, the simpler you can talk about it, the more you've mastered it, right? But you can only really, like, the only level further than that is when you have it in your subconscious, just printed in there perfectly, right? Like, if you're having dreams about shredding the major pentatonic and it sounds exactly like it's supposed to, and you already know that, and there's no doubt in your mind that you're correct, like, that means it's reached the same thing as, like, mastery. It's like that's a side effect of doing it, right? Like, but I'm coming from a place where I'm trying to put it in your mind's eye first, so that the rest is already happening for free. There was this, I need to find this study because, like, I love thinking about it. It's pretty hardcore, but how they got a group of people to go to a gym and work out, and then they got another group of people to not go to the gym but to pretend to work out in their mind's eye like that, and really recreate the virtual reality experience in their head, you know, to the T, senses, all of them turned on. You know, what's it smell like, what's it like in there, how big's the room, you know, is it echoey in there, all those things. And they pretended to work out for the same amount of time, and they did this at the end. They pretty much got the same results of growth and all the healthy benefits, and these people just didn't do anything. That's my favorite part. So I'm using that logic to make this entire course in the hopes that, like I said, I've said this a few times, but in the hopes that people who are trying to get their usage of their limbs back or things like that from health issues or accidents or whatever, it's like, this is an occupational therapy course of a sort, you know, a musical style. And if you believe that this hand is your hand and you're playing this bass and you're hanging out on this porch just chilling in this peaceful energy, if you can, you know, then that means, yeah, you definitely worked on the major pentatonic scale today. You know why it's called that, by the way? It's major because it sounds like kind of uplifting, according to Western culture. Do, re, mi, fa, that whole thing. I don't know if y'all learned that in elementary or not, or if they teach anymore. Some people do, whatever. But that's the major scale. And the major, it has like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 notes before it starts over on the root. So we're taking that same root and we're taking 5 out of those 7 notes. 1, 2, 3, skipping 4, 4, 5, and then it starts over. And that's what we've been working on today. That's the major pentatonic scale. Penta for 5, tonic for tone, 1 tone, 2 tone, 3 tone, 4 tone, 5 tone. There's so much, I hear this in a lot of Chinese music. It's almost like they exclusively use this scale, and I mean, that says a lot if you can do that much with it, you know? And not to mention, it's just, I love it. You know, it gets deep, and that's all we're doing with this course, is learning the neck. And I mean, how many times you're gonna do this? It's like, we'll just run scales, and by the time it's all said and done, you'll have an understanding. And if you're some of the crew that makes a full recovery, you'll just suddenly know how to play bass and a little bit of guitar too, because this neck logic translates from instruments to stringed instruments if they're tuned the same. Otherwise, I think that's going to do it for this session. I appreciate your patience, your understanding, and your courage, man. Keep going. This is awesome. I'll give you more skills as soon as I can, and I'm going to get out of the sunlight because this made things kind of crazy. But yeah, it begins. I wish you the best and good luck and Godspeed on your journey. Well, I'll let you have the little. I'll play the neighborhood out. How's that? Oh, yeah. P.S. My car's transmission is acting a fool right now. You can find me on Patreon at Funk Fusion with the P-H-U-N-K F-U-S-I-O-N. Why you leave me like that? Much love, y'all. See you next time.